is our spring fling special, everyone, and Jay is back with another recipe that is an ode to early spring. So have a look at what you will need to make this one. It is white wine, steamed mussels with wild leeks, fiddleheads, white asparagus, and watercress pesto. Oh my gosh, that is a recipe, chef.
It's perfect. It's beautiful. It's everything you want in a nice little bundle of mussels.
Well, listen, if it takes half as long to make as it does to read out, we better get started. I know we opened up the Sauvignon Blanc already in the first recipe, so you're probably going to use some of that as well. There it is.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you know what? It actually it's a lot of ingredients, but it's actually a quick recipe. You know, it's all about really steaming mussels. And the one thing when you're steaming mussels is, and we've done mussels on the show before, is first off is you want to go through, and of course I always jump the gun and clean the beard, but there's usually a little bit on here, and you just want to clean that off. But the most important thing is just make sure they're still alive. If you tap them and they don't close, get rid of them, you know, and if you tap them and they close, they're good. Okay? Don't ever wrap your mussels in cling film or something and put them in the fridge because they need oxygen to stay alive, so don't suffocate them. But once they're good to go, a good cast iron pot. You know, I love my little pots like this because they get nice hot bottom. And then what we're going to do is literally just take these mussels once it's hot and just drop them right in. You know, and you get that little sizzle. There it goes, right? We're going to put a lid on it and let it cook for about a minute. And then we're going to talk about this watercress pesto. This is the baby. This is the one that's going to give you the flavor. What I've done is I've taken beautiful fresh watercress and I've actually blended it with garlic, Parmesan cheese, olive oil, and you end up with like your traditional basil pesto, but it's watercress. You can throw in a bit of basil in there if you want, or some parsley if it's too strong to be the watercress, but this is what gives you all the flavor, okay? So I'm literally going to take that and be generous. Put a couple of big spoons in there, right? Push that in, a little bit of the old Sauvignon Blanc, and this helps to steam the mussels, and then just a splash of 35% cream. You know, if we're all got the COVID belly, maybe you stop there, but if you don't, you can put a little bit more in there. So, all right. I know, I've got the COVID belly. And then you just cover that up and let it cook. Really what you're doing is just steaming the mussels. You know, in a kitchen at home, it probably only take about 2 or 3 minutes. Out here, maybe about 4 or 5 minutes. But the reality is we just want to steam it. But let's talk about all these ingredients. So green asparagus, spring, hello, it's perfect. I actually changed that though. It was going to be fiddleheads. But the fiddleheads weren't ready yet. But I mean, for spring, it's all about those fiddleheads and those wild leeks that I've got here, white asparagus. These are the ingredients that asparagus can stay around for a long time, but we always think it's, you know, it's all around, but it's not. It's actually in the spring, and then we start to import it as the year goes on. But green asparagus, that grassy notes. It's those kind of I don't know how you say it, young spring flavors, but it's all those herbaceous notes. That's why the green asparagus or the fiddleheads are really great.
Just a note on the watercress, I was going to say, Jay. I love watercress because it does have a very strong flavor. It's very different, I think, than... And I've never thought of making a pesto out of it. Like, that's a very smart idea.
Oh, yeah. Well, and here's a couple of tips about watercress. You can get the really traditional watercress you see in the stores, and that's the most bitter. And if it's a little bit too bitter, blanch it in a little bit of water and then shock it in some ice water. That softens the bitterness a little bit. But that still might be really strong. But you can also get what they call hydroponic watercress, which is like a lot younger, a lot leaner, and it's not as strong. So if you're not sure, go with that first, and you see that in the sprout section of your grocery store. You'll find it, you know, watercress sprouts. Those are a little more delicate.
Yeah, good to know.
So look at this. That is just coming along nicely. All our mussels are starting to get coated. So really, it's the last minute or so that you want to actually put everything in. So then you start to throw in your asparagus. You know, you throw it, and all this has just been blanched ahead of time, but you can throw it in raw and cook it a little bit longer, but it's easy if you just blanch because it keeps that green color. Wild leeks, I love those. You know, the ramps are all everywhere in the spring. And I love how, you know, everybody goes out and harvests their own ramps. It's great to kind of just wander through the forest and, you know, pick them down, roast them off. And then I tend to, right at the last second, throw in a bunch of fresh herbs because, again, it's spring, so everything should be just fresh and vibrant. But you're going to notice something. Other than the white asparagus, it's very green. Well, it's spring. That, to me, is what it should be. I mean, I'm so tempted to throw in some roasted peppers or some tomatoes, but I kind of held back because I thought, you know, no, this is spring here. So, and there's some really already cooked. Look at this. Oh, look at that sauce in the bottom. That.
Nice.
is beautiful, all right? And then you just top it off with no sprouts. But to me, you get the watercress, you get the wine, you get spring.
It's beautiful.
And it's what? Minute and a half, 4 minutes at the most.
Listen, I thought you were going to say that you were really tempted to put in some double smoked bacon, some pancetta. But look at you with the green and the freshness and the asparagus, and it's beautiful and fresh. I love it. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
And I will also throw out there, people think mussels and they think complicated, and it is not. You did that almost in real time. So really good job, and it looks gorgeous and very springy. Thanks, Chef.